a lot of efficiency, a lot of economy. You can watch the average player, even a decent player, play a game, and in 10 minutes they're soaking wet, sweating. It's really quite a workout. But when you're playing at this level, you know, Nan, go over and see how sweaty old David is over there. No, just kidding. But I bet he's not sweating a lot with the economy stuff. Hey, there's Cliff from the Great White North. I'm surprised the internet even works under 8 feet of snow. New puppies, that's exciting. Cliff Clavin, you guys. I wish he would have been on earlier, maybe when the Bid Kids were here. Cliff came, I met him on one of the forums. We were talking about Robotron stuff. But he is actually a key component and was my partner in crime in, gosh, spring of 2012 when it was kind of coming along that a website was needed. I worked with him extensively back and forth. He provided info and feedback. We shot ideas back and forth on what was the best way to present info. So Cliff was a big part of why that website even came together properly. I couldn't have done that by myself without having somebody to talk to. A lot of the content was obviously from other people like Ken or anyone that was speaking intelligently and on a high level about Robotron. I stole a lot of info I found on the internet, and I reference people, but Cliff really helped me put it all together. He's got the shirts. He has a 30th anniversary shirt. Has some signed stuff. Tried to take care of him. He's hardcore, too. He even made his kids sing Happy Birthday to Robotron in 2012, in French, no less. Wish that video was still out there. I don't think I have the video anymore. So anyway, all of you guys, many of you out there, have been instrumental in keeping this Robotron community what it is. It's all those little behind-the-scenes connections. It all added up. Dane said he had an issue with the E-clip. An E-clip is it kind of looks like an E. It's like this, and then you've got the joystick shaft, and that goes on the very end to clamp it in so that joystick won't pop out. The joystick will still work, and it'll move things, except you can pull straight up on it and come out of the game. So the E-clip stops that from happening. That's what that is. Oh no, they didn't remember that they had to sing? Or they didn't know that you were famous and instrumental in the world of video games. Or your kids have never seen an American person before. It says there aren't many people here in the actual Twitch thing, but I'm guessing that number isn't truly indicative of the audience. Oh, I don't have that video anymore. I don't know how that worked. Maybe that was a phone video or a file you sent, but anyway, I'm sure I don't have it anymore. I'm looking at these 4 screens and I see a picture of Dane at the first Robotron Gauntlet event. He played live from Washington, D.C. at a gaming event. It was called MagFest. And then they streamed on the Twin Galaxies channel, which was 1337 something Lounge, Live Lounge, or Lounge Live. But the kid in that picture is, oh, I know his name. He posted his score over at that Hourcade. Anyway, he's the son of one of the Miss Pac-Man development persons. And I think he reached his all-time high in the first Robotron Gauntlet of 11 million, which was pretty cool. Young guy, I don't even think he was 18 at that point. Must have been 16 or 17. So definitely representing old school there. Shout out old school. Looks like I can't tell quite what his shirt has on. And I see a Berserk robot, a Frogger, oh, an Adventure Dragon, Space Invaders, a Cubert, maybe the Pitfall guy. And it says 2012 something, no interrupt this transmission. Classic Gaming Expo, Las Vegas, Nevada. Oh, CGE, the CGE event. He must have gone with his dad. Check my email here. So is it just Ken and Cliff out there for real? And Dane? If it was just you guys, I guess I don't need to recap what all is going on here. I don't see any new folks asking questions. It also sounds like the tie-dye ROM set is good to go. It sounds like Larry said that today was the day and he's good to go with it, so he will give the go-ahead to Gary Whittingham by email when Gary can post that live. And then you'll see it available for download at Williams Players Unite, which is a .com website. Just look for the Robotron stuff. There's actually a compiled version of MAME there that you can download and unzip and rename, and you'll be using MAME right away if you have a 64-bit Windows computer. Pretty fast. Drop the desired robotron.zip file in the ROMs folder, fire it up, and you'll be playing. And you can even play from laptop with a keyboard like Darren Cormier exhibited the other day. He was at Greg's arcade. You could see him in the background playing on keyboard. I don't know how far he played, but must have been a while. He was there at least a couple of hours. I think this commentating gig is blowing my cover with the wife. When we went out to eat, she said, I heard you talking in there, and you were talking more and faster than I ever heard you talk. So I know you can talk now. So I guess I'm going to have to be more talkative. Cloud to Ground says you have another lurker. I'm not nearly as exciting as having both bid kids on, talking shop, but any Robotron questions or classic gaming questions? I worked at Twin Galaxies Arcade back in the 82 to 84 range, so I know a little bit about that era. You know, one thing that never got mentioned during this whole event is that Eugene actually wrote a transcript about Robotron. He wrote a little mini story. We talked about it last year, but it was kind of a fun little story about Robotron that goes with this. I think he was thinking it was going to become a movie or something. I suppose it could, since Warner Brothers owns the rights to Robotron 2084. If they were going to do a movie, there'd have to be a villain in it, like Billy Mitchell in King of Kong. Who'd want to sign up for that? No emails here. Coming up on 28 hours. That's just really hard to fathom. Anybody playing this game 28 hours. I know some of these classic gamers reach, 50 and 60 hours, and a couple games even more, but those games don't have this non-stop intensity where you never get a break from the action at this level. Yeah, nothing in my messages here. You're 28 hours in. David is playing more efficient than most people would play Robotron on their best day. All the little tricks to make the wave go easier, like getting rid of the spheroids that make enforcers soon, circling around the enforcers so their shots get confused, being able to handle the extra risk and the reward to be able to pick up humans that are near robots. I see him on a tank wave now, clearing out the quarks which make the tanks, and then being able to effectively dodge those double bank shots that happen that get you in the back. Playing very intuitively. Alright, well, if there aren't any questions, maybe I'll get off here for a bit and see what's going on in the other room. Alright, good luck, David. 28 hours. Check on you a bit.
130.
Hey guys, I'm back here. I'm going to try streaming some, I'll do like a little tutorial about Robotron. I don't even know who's here. I can see the chat on my laptop over here. So I have a stool and a 5-gallon bucket and the iPad sitting on top of it. And we'll see how it turns out. Hopefully you guys can see it. I don't really know a different way to hang it. So I have MAME running, and this is easy to download at Williams Players Unite, exactly the same one I've got. It's special tuned to where it matches the speed and performance of a real arcade machine. I compared them side by side, and Sean Riddle did some programming. So the first thing that you'll see, if you hit the advance and the high score reset, you can get into the game adjustments. And in there, with the tie-dye ROM set, there are more features now. And this really will cater to the novices and the experts. Like if you're outrageously good, you can set this to 75,000 points for every man, which is well beyond the capabilities of anybody on the planet or ever has been on the planet. 50 is what was in the old ROM set, but some folks like the in-between phases, like 40, 30, down to 25, which is the recommended default. So you get some gradation there for the masters. You get 30, 40, 50, and then if you really want to go, over top 60, 70, and 75, it's limitless. This game can be harder than any human can ever play. But if you go down lower, 20,000 used to be as low as you could go, which is still hard if you're learning the game. So if you just want to have practice time to settle in and play a long time, play 28 hours like Master Gomez there, you can come down to 15, 10, or 0. No extra men, like it's the Twin Galaxy setting. So just to mess with the settings, we'll set it on 10. Turns per player, that's the same. You can go from 1 to 20. Let's leave it on 20 just to get a lot of men. That way I can mess around while I'm talking. I have it set on free play. The track mode's irrelevant. Difficulty of play, it's the same, 0 through 10. 10 is what the masters play, and if you can hit 1,000,000 points on difficulty 10, you're definitely a master. Yeah, and there are settings where you can get an extreme mastery status, but there are less than a dozen people on current players that are extreme masters. So we'll set this down. We'll go 5, recommended. Now here's where it gets neat. This letters for highest score. Larry put in a way you can test the Goldilocks zone that David went through earlier. And it took him, 22 hours or something. Nan could tell you the exact amount it took him to get to 100 million. But all we have to do, since we're cheap and lazy, is set the high score name to 4, and that will turn on the Goldilocks mode. So to save that, I'm reaching up above on my can you guys still see this? I'm peeking around at the thing. I think you guys can see that. So anyway, I'm going to press out of that. There's Robotron. This is purely a MAME setup. I have a JPack, which is just a fancy arcade keyboard interface that plugs in USB, and then it lets me run wiring from the arcade controls to the little keyboard interface. And therefore, I'm using joysticks down here and start buttons, but really it's just keys on the keyboard. This little interface just lets you be a MAME keyboard, which is kind of cool. So like I said, I'm putting my cup of hot chocolate here on my Pinbot machine. I hope I don't end up regretting that. That'll be a hell of a mess to clean up. Assuming you guys can see me, this is just a primer on what you've seen happen. It's just absolute chaos is what it looks like to the average person. But someone like David or Ken or Dane or Greg, they have the game figured out in their brain. They're processing what the game's going to do, kind of like a biological version of the code. So they have a hierarchy of what they're actually doing. They don't pay attention to that whole glob of chaos. They pay attention to what's most important on the screen inside the arena. So let's fire this up. Gave it a credit. Grunts. You see how they're magnetic coming toward me? Like I go over here, they're magnetic. They're slowly going faster. It's kind of like a heartbeat, makes you nervous. So you see how they're just attracted to me? So the goal, see now they're speeding up. So those are grunts. They come at you, you know. You can fire straight at them. You can fire at an angle. There's a little trick to grunts. They can never outrun you on the horizontal and vertical. Even at the hardest in the game, if you're going this way, they can never outrun you. I'm actually going to get rid of that thing. But at an angle, they move faster. So you can actually use that against them. This game is all about the subtle offense and defense. If you're on this level, running that way, they can't outrun you. But on an angle, they can catch you. So, how do you say that benefits you? Get on an angle and shoot them while they're coming faster, and your shots just happen faster, and they'll get taken away. And that's why the circling that you see happen, that's why that works, because they go your speed and then they go a little faster, but it gives you time to corral them and shoot at them, and they just disappear. So that's the concept of grunts. That's your first exposure, and that's really, they're pressing you all the time. When the game gets irritating later on, when you die, it has a lot to do with the simplest enemy dynamics. Defenders the same way. You'd think the landers are completely dumb and passive and to be ignored. Actually, the landers are what will keep you from progressing in the game. They're the green guys that pick up the humans. So, you know, games designed by the same folks. The concepts are kind of the same. It just looks different. What I was going to tell you about, though, is remember I set that to 4 earlier for the high score? That turned on the Goldilocks zone. You see how my score is 99 million? Like I'm almost catching Ken House. This proves I'm as good as Ken. But when the score reaches the 75,000 on this, and I'll explain the brains later, we're not ready for that topic. So let's get up to the 75,000, and you're going to see my lives counter, which is currently at 20. You're going to see that go up. Okay, I'm at 75,000. Everything I shoot. Oh, you know what? I bet I messed that up at the beginning. If you get points before the copyright image draws, it will kill the Goldilocks zone. It's a little nuance with it. It's intended that way in the way they designed it. I'll have to restart this. Oh, no, wait, you know what? I'm wrong. I set it to 10,000 bonus. So actually the Goldilocks zone would be another 90,000. Let's hit something. We'll just get some points and try to get up in there. Now, yeah, everything I hit's gaining a life. But it's an evil bug because I have to pay that back after the score rolls over. So you see the lives going up, everything I tag that gets a point. And what happened to Ken earlier is that grunts will run into electrodes. Well, those electrodes are your friend in that case, and you get points. Anything that dies on the screen is your point. So those grunts were running into electrodes. Ken had no control over it. It was accumulating lives, and it just got him in that danger zone in the 250 lives range, and he couldn't step out of it. He went from being a rock star to a pauper really fast, you know. Had maxed out lives, and then he hit 1 million and had 11 lives. And then he would have those 11 lives for another 2 million points, which is just impossible. You notice how I can stay alive in this? That was months and months and months of frustrated training to learn the nuances of that dynamic. It's all about pool. It's about double bank shots. Those things, there's a random trajectory in it, but it's also wicked. It tricks your fight or flights, and we're not ready to talk about tanks, but basically they will herd you. Those shots will go in a certain way, and it makes you want to run away from them, but you're actually running with them, and that increases the likelihood of getting hit. If you can remember to run across those angles, like when they're coming at you, if you cut the angle over there, you'll get away from it. If you try to follow the bullet, it'll probably tag you on, especially on the double bank shot. So those are the things that happen. Oh, let's get out of the Goldilocks zone here. So the score rolled over. You'll notice that I had the bonus set to 10,000. I won't get a free life at 10,000 points. It'll have to be however many lives I build up, which unfortunately was probably quite a few while I was talking. See those angles that I was doing? And it dissipated the tank bullets? That's another nuanced thing to take the offense. You'll see David do that very effectively, but in the chaos it's hard to tell what he's doing, but he's actually using that that laser from the player as a boundary line because stuff has to cross it. You know, I'm holding those angles there. And watch this. This is another dynamic. Enforcers are a good lesson. Watch how I can circle that thing, because the enforcers, they like to go to corners and get you in crossfire. They like to work together. But watch what you can do to them. You can totally jack with their enemy dynamic with those shots that come out. By changing trajectories, they can't get a read on you, because when they get the read, you're already past it. So when they're out in the open, you can run circles around them. And these are the nuances. David's functioning on this stuff. He's aware of all these things on a very deep, intuitive level. And so he's using each individual enemy dynamic against the game. It looks like he's totally reacting and on the defense, but actually everything he does is a way to maintain offense over the defense. You see I've got that thing completely flustered and it's just throwing stuff? Now watch when I go farther away. Those shots will get a little bit faster. And look, here I'll run in one direction and watch this. He'll get a bead on me. See that bead coming? They're throwing random around me. Eventually one of those things is going to tag me. So now we have a lot of grunts. They're still magnetic toward me, so I can still get them to gather up, and I can circle them and pick them off. And I also did something I didn't even think about doing, but it's another dynamic. These Hulks, they're pretty dumb. They're programmed to just walk around and annoy you. Sometimes I think they can focus on you, but they'll also focus in on humans, but they change their mind a lot. They have ADHD. See how he can't catch me? But you can bump them a little bit. See, I can't stop him, but I can bump him until his mind gets changed about what direction he's going. So if you get in a bind in a corner, man, tag that. He'll eventually go away. So you can be just a little bit of a bully with those, even though it gets wicked later on. Brains, they're looking for somebody right now. Eugene talked about how they'll single one human out, assuming that in your last wave you picked up all the humans. They'll single somebody out, and once they get it, all hell breaks loose. And watch when they start picking people up. Yeah, they start making progs. Those progs are fast. They're kind of dumb, but they kind of go in streaks, so you can take them out. And this is another advanced lesson, but watch this straight line firing. Rather than frantically flailing, watch what I'm doing. I'm staying calm, I'm firing straight, and I'm effectively controlling those shots because I know that that laser, or that missile, has to cross my angle. If I flail at it like, that all over, I can't hit the thing, but if I keep it straight, I can. That's yet another offense, and you're going to see David do that very effectively, but it looks like he's doing nothing when in fact he's doing something quite intelligent, and once again it gives him the offense. So in classic gaming, you're totally immersed in what looks just like a bunch of stuff. And in that bunch of stuff, the brain, which the human brain is just amazing at sorting out patterns and chaos. It's what we've been doing on a primitive level for thousands of years. It's a highly advanced function in our brain. And Robotron triggers that. It triggers a deep, deep scientific problem solving. If you've ever taken physics and had, to figure out really complex problems that are based on real things like how fast do you throw a snowball at a wall before it will turn into water when it hits, how hard you have to throw that. All those curious things that the average person doesn't think about in the day when they're reading the newspaper. But yet all of the scientific curiosities are out there. If you threw a rubber ball off of the Empire State Building, how high would that thing bounce? You can actually calculate that with physics, but that's another topic. But Robotron is actually making you do physics problems all the time. You're having to problem solve complex things and figure out the way to sort out the chaos and come up with an answer that you can predict in just a little bit of a manner. And that was actually a design strategy. Eugene was talking about that when I met him at the 30th anniversary party, that they really enjoyed science and physics and they wanted to emulate the chaos of real life. Look at that sign. Darren Cormier will call that moving in snake-like movements, but you see how I'm changing direction, kind of ducking and weaving there? You can stay away from them quite a while. And this is another lesson. You see all those green guys? It's like, oh my God, they're everywhere. This is where looking straight at them is a detriment. So to take the offense when you're with all these Hulks, use your peripheral vision. Don't look straight at them and let them become a great big moving green glob. There's a functionality to them. And if you see them as a hazy green glob, you can kind of read staying away from them. So remember, don't walk in front of them like that. Here's another trick. Look, when they're walking sideways, you can tell which way they're going to walk. When a wave starts, here, let me get killed. Actually, let's see if I have, yeah, my pause works. When a wave starts, you can stop, you can read these tank hulks. So don't walk in front of them. If you're planning a trajectory, as soon as it starts, walk behind them. Like here, this guy, you know he's going to go left. You know this guy's going right, and these guys are going up or down. So hulks will press you, and they'll kill you. They'll get you killed, especially when you're not a master player, because they'll get you cornered. Let's see if I can get myself cornered. Let's get up here by them. They love to get you squeezed into something over there, but just keep them peripheral. Here, let's see what we've got here. So 21 hours, 15 minutes is what it took David to play to the Goldilocks zone. And what I was just showing here for the new folks is that the new tie-dye ROM set, which will be released today, that you can download and put in MAME immediately, is that you can set the high score initials to 4, and you will be in the Goldilocks zone. It's pretty cool. And David's drinking. Yeah, outward appearances, this game is crazy, but it sorts out. I assume my stream's still going. Let me peek down here. Let me get a drink of my chocolate milk here. Alright, what else should we talk about? I'm at wave 13. There are 40 hard-coded waves, so 13 is by no means as hard as it gets. And I actually have the 10,000 point bonus turned on. See how this Hulk squeezed me? So I can talk and show you guys things and not die right away. There's nothing wrong with enjoying the game you're playing. So when you're learning, take advantage of the 20 extra lives. Take advantage of the 10K bonus. And figure out how the enemy dynamics work. And then if you want to become a master, you know, you'll have to start playing on the settings that the masters play on. But it might save you punching holes in walls and breaking joysticks and all the other stuff that gets triggered when that fight or flight instinct is triggered and you really want to succeed. Okay, what other things am I doing? One of the hierarchies are here, let me die so I can show you something. I'll put it on pause. Over here, that's a spheroid. That spheroid is the mother of the enforcers. It is in your best interest, if you can, to get rid of that before the enforcers get spawned. But once again, that's the risk and reward aspect of this. The reward would be if you got that enforcer killed, your wave's going to be easier. The risk is that you're going to more than likely be in a situation with robots where you might die doing that. So, risk and reward. It's great to get that spheroid shot, but you might put yourself in harm's way trying to do it, so you have to balance it. That gets even master players all the time. David's put in hours on this. You won't see him get caught in the risk and reward a lot because he's been through all the experiences and the deaths, and he's processed them internally. He's thought about them. And so when he sees a situation, he knows how to read it. Just like, once again, it's kind of like real life because you get to learn to read people. You could walk into, let's say a bar, and you can figure out pretty quick who's friendly and who's not because you've had past experiences in school and such with bullies or, you know, whatever the case is. But you learn to read based on experience. That's wisdom. Robotron has a lot of wisdom, you know. Do the wrong thing. Here, I'll show you something. Doing the wrong thing. With these tanks, never go to the corners. Because they'll sling shots at you that rebound so quick. Like that shot was going to. Let me go away from the Hulks. Here, let's go over here. Watch this. It's really hard to get away from them. If you go to the corners, you'll probably die on the tank waves. Try to stay in tight. You know, there's kind of a diamond shape where the bullets get to bouncing around. If you can kind of stay on each side of that diamond and stay out of the corners and get in and effectively fight, you'll do all right. This novice setting's all right. I've been talking and dying, and I look down and I still have 4 lives. Okay, watch this. I'll just sit here and... I didn't get frantic. I didn't start flailing. I just sat there and waited for those things to compress. It was Darren Cormier who I saw do that, and it kind of blew my mind when I was learning this game. It's like, what in the world did he just do? See how it takes a while to kill them? They go faster if I go on angles. They can never catch me there. They'll catch me on the diagonals. Well, we still haven't talked about brains, but let's talk about them. They're extremely intimidating. There, they're lit up a little better. This looks like pure hell. This is just intimidating. But if, once again, you use your peripheral vision a little bit, you'll notice that there's a glob of brains over here. There's a glob of them over here. There's a few over here. So if you work those globs, you can probably eradicate a big area, which will give you part of the screen to work from. So you have to decide the risk and reward. You know, look, there are humans over here and here. Do I want to just go down and deal and try to get a lot of humans before things go really crazy and I die? Or do I just want to focus on getting this glob of brains gone and also get some of the humans that go with it? Once again, risk and reward. Until you've experienced it, until you've died a lot, you're not going to have a good decision on that. And sometimes even a good decision turns bad. So, if this goes okay, what'll happen is that the brains will be slow to get to the humans. If the brains get to the humans right away, their target humans, it will get crazy really fast. And then you probably lose 3 or 4 men. So I think just because I was talking about globs of brains, I'm going to take this route, because this is like it's a barricade. If that grunt hits it, he'll blow up. I think I'm just going to try to come over here, grab a few humans, and try to clear this little area out so I have somewhere to work, and this might get crazy. So let's just see what happens. So the plan kind of worked. Let's figure out another plan. Okay, well, it's obvious that this is going to be tricky. You know, these guys are going to press me pretty quick, but if I run over here, I've got a little bit of time to deal with them. So how about I not go down here and I don't go over here and I just try to clear out this area, and then I'll try to get rid of whatever comes at me. Yeah, so that kind of worked. What are we going to do here? It's amazing how fast they can shoot lightning bolts, so I'm going to try to do some efficient firing. I'm going to try to shoot up while I'm coming over here. I'm going to try to shoot over there. And I'm going to come up higher and try to shoot over there, because these guys are all going to try to migrate toward that brain. So I'm going to try to get these, and this guy, and that Hulk is going to be a pain in the ass. So let's see what happens. It kind of worked. Look, so I can just take care of these until I can get rid of that prog. Get myself positioned. Look, those Hulks are going to just be in the way because they're obnoxious. And I took a diagonal shot. So here I'm just going to kind of come up here. I'm going to clear out an area. I'm going to try to clear out some of the spheroids, the circles that tend to go in the corner. Do some circling. Avoiding the Hulks. changing directions, and then, you know, picking my shots. That's kind of how it works. Oh, this will be the last guy. That'll be good. We'll start back to the Goldilocks zone. Let's see what the chat says. What is the current world record? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I heard Larry say Twin Galaxy is not yet set up and has not started taking records for this. Is that correct? And how will this influence David's score in regards to be taking into consideration since it is filmed in its entirety? Thanks in advance. I think David is setting a record now. I saw it's awesome. Well, folks, it's been long enough for me to stick around. I'll be back either later or not. As we all will. The deal on the scores is that this is just an exhibition right now. We're playing to entertain people. We want to have fun with this. We're playing on a brand new ROM set, or they're playing on a brand new ROM set. I guess I am exhibitioning it here in MAME. And those scores will eventually probably go into the scoreboard, but a scoring track has to be made for it. And I don't think Twin Galaxies is at the point in their infrastructure where they can make. They're not ready to start making new scoring tracks. They're still stabilizing the submission process, amongst other things. So the existing scores at Twin Galaxies are based on an old rule set when those scores were put in the scoreboard. And once they were in the scoreboard, they were never altered or taken out or anything. And the rule said in 1982 and 83, which was when most of those scores arrived, is that if the game reset, you could start your game out. And as long as you had the physical capacity to continue marathoning the game, you could continue and add your scores together. So they're cumulative scores. That rule was changed probably 85 or 86 during the Steve Harris era of Twin Galaxies. I don't have the documentation on that. Maybe Jace does. But anyway, the scores were never pulled out. So the existing Twin Galaxy scoreboard has a mix of multi-credit scores that are really high. Some of them might be too high, but they're, you know, it's subjective. There's no valid proof on anything. So it's just, you know, why pick a battle when there is nothing you can really discuss about it. So the old scores are multi-credit. Nowadays, with all the streaming and the verification that goes on, that makes it a very credible experience, a very valid experience. You're seeing David do something real. He's doing it on 1 credit, and that's how the New World plays, on 1 credit, 1 game. So in the verified 1 credit world of the new era, and especially on the brand new tie-dye ROM set, you're looking at the world record. But world records, you know, put your quotation marks around it, because you're looking at the highest score somebody's obtained, is basically what that means on the tie-dye ROM set. And so it's really apples and oranges. You can't compare that to 1982, because in 1982, the game code had some defects in it that were fixed in 1987 by the original programmers once they had some more insight. But in 82 and 83, it's a different animal. You're playing on a ROM set with errors. At reset, you're playing under a mindset that a marathon is how long the human can stay awake and stand at the controls coherently. It had nothing to do with the how long you could fight the game dynamics before the game reset, or before your game ended. And that's different. It's just different. There's a different mindset. It's evolved, and that's the thing about Twin Galaxies. It didn't evolve for a long time, but it is evolving now, and it's evolving rapidly, and it's based on a lot of logic and rationale and community input. So I wouldn't even sweat it. If you're thinking that David's getting slighted or Ken's getting slighted or Dane, Greg, they're not. My gosh, they're playing in front of the whole planet right now, and it's quite a spectacle. So as far as being on a list, sure, they're on the Robotron community list for what they're doing. The history's written, but when it comes to Twin Galaxies and Guinness World Records, then we have to let that Twin Galaxies process, who works with Guinness, work through that, and they'll tell us when they're ready to make scoring tracks. So there really isn't anything frustrating or terrible about it. It's just evolution. So what else does this say here? Asterisk, not quotation. Now, someone that's good at Robotron told me something about on the brainwave there's a guy who can correct and brains won't go nuts. Can't wait to try the tie-dye ROM set, the nodding hack name cabinet with the decent joysticks, as long as they get the credit. Oh yeah, they get the credit. Shoot, they are the center of the Robotron community, you know, amongst all of us that play. These guys are the standouts right now. Let me tell you about, I'll show you the brain stuff. Let me turn off, I guess I could leave, I'll leave the Goldilocks in there, what the heck. So I'm gonna fire up a credit, and I'll use the pause to explain the brains. I haven't played for probably a month, so this is a kind of autopilot. You want to see somebody good play, watch David. I'm not one of the masters. I just understand the dynamics of the game. Okay, I'll play up to... Remember, I have it set to the novice 10,000 points per bonus life. Just for the fun, I have it set on 20 lives. When you're learning this game, have fun with it. You don't have to try to be a champion in the first week, because you won't be. Okay, wave 4 is important. I have to make sure that every human is gone off this screen before I leave it. That's the trick to this brain thing. I have to have it clear. If I end that wave with humans on there, I'll be screwed up. So let's just finish this, and then I'll use the pause. Where is Mikey? Mikey is on this screen. Oh, there he is. He's coming up right here. See him? This isn't going to be a good example because there's no way I can save Mikey from those two brains. They're too close. And this is the dang random nature of this game. Sometimes it just racks things against you. You just don't get a good rack, and that's just how it goes. You can't control or predict this game with the amount of randomness in it. It isn't like playing Pac-Man where you can assess everything going on. So what I'm going to try to do is hit both of these brains before they take out Mikey, which is not going to work. Yeah, see, they nailed him. So if I had protected him, you'd see that those brains would stay focused on him, and they would walk right past these other mommies. They wouldn't even care. But now that Mikey's gone, look, this brain's going for a mommy. All heck is getting ready to break loose here, which I'll show you. See all those progs coming at me? That's not fun. So let me get myself killed off here. This is where having 20 lives to start isn't really a benefit. It's kind of interesting that David had to do what I'm doing right now, of just running into people and trying not to get points when he was in the Goldilocks zone before 100 million, because he was dangerously close to that 255 lives rollover. And if he had rolled it over in the Goldilocks zone, he would have been in bad shape, which is what happened to Ken. So David actually was trying to do some triage and get some of his lives gone without gaining any points in that Goldilocks zone when it started getting like 240 lives and stuff. Somebody tuning in probably thinks I'm one of the masters here at 99 million. If you see Ken, tell him I am. I'm sure that'll go over. Rib him a little bit. So the risk and reward stuff, like those electrodes there that I'm running into, you think, oh, I'll get them out of the way so I can run wherever I want. It's beneficial to leave them in a lot of cases as long as they aren't your immediate path, because grunts will run into them and die, and it'll take out the grunt and the electrode. All risk and reward. Do you leave it and have it potentially get in your way, or take out a grunt, or you get rid of it and go on? In this kind of random game, it's hard to tell. It's all risk and reward. Oh, so close. Almost 100 million. Alright, let's see if we can get a better rack on the old Mikey trick. And it doesn't matter on these waves. It's only wave 4, right before the brains, that you have to get all the humans gone. If you leave a human, then the brains will go for anybody. They won't fixate on one person. Okay, here's 4, so I have to get all the humanoids gone. Look, I came right up that trench. Figured I'd leave some of those. That's another thing. Those spheroids have a tendency to go to corners, so you can be waiting for them. It's one of the few things you can predict. I stayed up there, and I knew they were going to come over in the corner. Just like now, he's going to come in the corner. Oh my gosh, I left a human. That was dumb. So they're going to go for... They're going to go for anybody. But you see how I'm going through trying to protect. I'm trying to protect him. I guess I must not have left a human. There's Mikey. These brains want him bad. I intentionally left the spheroids so there'd be some enforcers because I need those around so I have time to go around and pick up all these points. That's a lot of points if you add them up. So I've got to get these 2 gone, make sure that I don't get hit by this lightning bolt, and protect him. If I pick him up, I've thrown the thing off and these guys are going to turn around and go for the closest people. So he's got to stay alive. Don't actually bump into him. That'll happen. You'll see even David bump into the... Okay, so now look, they're gone. I can deal with the enforcers, but what's hard to deal with in the hierarchy of the chaos are these stupid missiles. So I'm going to go over here and do some straight line firing and try to get them out of the way. Okay, now they're gone. Don't go to the edge around enforcers. If you go to the edge, you'll typically die because these things, their sparks can shoot along it. So I'm going to have to come down here and circle and get this down to 1. So I'm going to try to come through here. Okay. So I'm down to 1. Now remember what I taught you guys earlier about circling these guys to confuse them. Don't go in straight lines because they'll calculate where you're at with those sparks that they're shooting out. So my intention is to duck and weave and zigzag and snake around, get rid of the electrodes because there's no benefit other than me bumping into them. There are no grunts for them to take out. So I'm going to duck around and I'm going to get these points, and if you add them up, here, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, 5, 5, and 5. You add all that up, that's, gosh, what is it, 75,000 points probably? Okay, so here we go. I've got to duck and weave. Got to pick things up. Don't accidentally shoot him. When you're getting carried away, you will want to do that. And it'll happen, and you'll be like, oh my god, why did I just do that? So there's a perfect rack. The electrodes get me nothing. I'm just blowing time. Now, if you want to practice, look, my angles are changing. Those sparks can't get a beat on me because by the time they've shot, I'm well past it. But watch when I do something like this. All of a sudden, they get pretty accurate. And you'll shoot one right at, see that thing slide right down there? That's the Mikey trick. If you guys are still there, it took a while talking. Goldilocks is now my most hated fable. Thanks Simon Grant in England on his long Defender game that he played using pause buttons over several weeks, and he got to like 92 million before he clocked the lives. Give me 20 lives and give me a lot of hand claps. I'll kick. Yeah, like me right now, I just got 100 million points. I need applause. Goldilocks is a nasty villain. I'll check my email. I don't know. I would think it wouldn't be too long before Larry clears that tie-dye ROM set with Gary Whittingham at Williams Players Unite. I would think that's going to be downloadable here before long. Wow, it's giving me a lot of life there, isn't it? That's pretty amazing. That's really surprising to stay alive that long there. Let me go check my email. No emails, but it is Saturday evening in the U.S. and the Super Bowl's tomorrow, so a lot of preparation probably going on. I know the grocery store is busy. Oh yeah, should be interesting if you're still playing in it tomorrow. Super Bowl versus Robotron. What to watch? What to watch? Shout out Robotron. Shout out deflated footballs. Will tie-dye ROM set be available for regular cabinets? Yeah. MAME is just an emulation of what the real stuff is. It's the real ROM sets. Here, I'll show you that actually, since we're on Skype. Let's just plain old MAME whatever. Let's go look at the ROM sets. Gotta think about where I put this. That's my family in Seattle, so obviously I have to root for the Seahawks. That's why I've got my green Sounders hat on here. Alright, MAME dev. Go to my ROMs folder. Look for Robotron. I've got a lot of them. You can get all those at Williams Players Unite right now. They're listed by what year and what they do. You can get them right now if you want to. You can even get the MAME I'm playing. It's a quick download. It's already compiled. Robotron. That's the actual ROM set that MAME's using, and it's also the same binary files that are in the ROMs. So when I open it up, look at this. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but that's ROM 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 files that start with Robotron. Just so happens there are 12 ROM chips on a Robotron ROM board, just like there is for Joust. They're the same hardware. So you have to find somebody that burns ROMs, like a guy named Steph in Canada. He has hobbyroms.com. You would give him this file and say, hey buddy, will you burn me some ROMs? And he can burn all 12 for you brand new. You'll have to pay for the ROMs, and they're like $1 to $3 a piece. There's still a lot of new old stock stuff out there. And then you'll have to pay for his time to burn with the ROM stuff, which is worth it, but there's a cost with it, but you're not paying for the ROM set. You know, in the MAME hobby world, nobody's selling these ROMs. You have to have that good faith thing that you can own it. Like if you had a real Robotron, then you can have this ROM set. That's legal. So you just have to get it burned. The different ROMs, if you have like the old red, orange, yellow ROM set, you'd have to change more ROMs to update to the blue ROM set, and then this tie-dye ROM set. Now I think that's laid out on the guidebook maybe, but anyway, most people are going to burn a whole new set. So those are the 12 files, and they're really just in the zip file. So when you download the tie-dye ROM set, you're going to put it in MAME in the ROMs folder, or you're going to email that zip file to somebody that's going to burn those ROMs for you, and you're going to have to pay for the ROM burning service and the shipping and stuff. But then you just pop them in. There are 12 slots on the ROM board. So MAME is just a software emulation of what's going on in the real world. And a cool guy named Sean Riddle, who's done a lot of MAME development, he has picked apart the schematics. He has real hardware at his place. He's done bench testing. He's compared it to the JROK field programmable gate array board, or an FPGA board. The JROC board is what you guys call it. He's done all the testing, and he and I worked together, and then I sat and gameplay tested compared to real boards. You can download MAME that plays well enough in an emulation that it feels like a real ROM. It feels like real hardware. In fact, I could set somebody like David or Ken down and play MAME versus real hardware, and they're probably not going to be able to pick it apart if we're running on the same machine. Lonnie, what's it say here? Yeah, shout out deflated joysticks. I'd like a Joust ROM that shows the score over 10 million. Yeah, you know what? You know Futz. Get Futz to do something. He's the one that made all that stuff. I bet he can still program. I mean, it's what he does still for a living, I think. You know, Sean Riddle found out something interesting about the score in Joust, which was little known, but Sean picked it apart, and then Bill Futzenreuter, Futz, he's a friend of Lonnie's, kind of confirmed it. The score in Joust doesn't actually roll over to 100 million either, the same as Stargate and Robotron, but you don't see that extra digit, so it looks like it rolls over at 9 million. And then it has an even odder glitch in that once it rolls over to 100 million, the internal score counter is set to 10 million. So the game, if you scored, over 100 million on Joust, the score actually would go to a 110 million in the internal counter. Just oddities. So I don't have the video playing on the laptop. He must be at 29 hours now. World record for the longest arcade game is 78 hours. Lonnie's one of the marathon folks. He's more in tune with that whole crowd that does that. I thought it was in the 80s, like George Lutz played Qbert 85-ish hours, and then John Salter from Ohio played Armor Attack 87-ish. But they also had the benefits of very high life counters and slow deaths, to where I believe they were taking like 45-minute naps every 8 hours or so. And that's a whole different thing when you can take naps during your game. Robotron would never afford you taking naps. It's just, you can't do it. The amount of time involved. I'll go back to... I was just vamping about all this Robotron stuff while I was playing it. I really don't play it much anymore. I'm more interested in the people and the people that are playing it and the history behind it. And I don't have a strong drive to play it anymore, although I find it quite enjoyable. I've been trying to learn Defender, but is there anything else you guys want me to show you about Robotron? My wife says I come in here and I talk too long to you guys. Looks like my laptop's only at 12% battery, so I'll probably wind up here in a bit. That way I can move it over to where the charger is. It's laying on the Pinbot machine. So Lonnie McDonald, are you like the world record holder on Pinbot? I thought I heard that you picked a Pinbot up after playing one last summer at the Python tribute at the Icon Art Gallery. I don't think Ken House is here, but I was thinking that his son played a marathon game of track and field. Hector Rodriguez, who is a high-level tournament player, he is quite exceptional at track and field. I don't know if he ever marathoned it, but do you remember how long Elijah played track and field on? Am I right about that? Oh, long sold pinbot already. At the Houston event, I had the luxury of playing 3 of Python's machines all together. They were carnival related, and I'm trying to think of the names. Comet. Oh, be darned. They were all 3 pinball carnival type games, but the art was really fascinating, looking at all the little people on it. Surprised you don't have those. Oh, Taxi, there you go. That's a good classic Python artwork item. Yeah, I'm probably going to go here. I'm down to 9% on my laptop, which I won't be able to do chat once it goes off. Maybe I'll check back with you guys a little later and we'll talk again, or maybe somebody will email me. Maybe Larry or Dane or somebody will want to come on here, talk back and forth. All right, see you guys later.
Well, if that thing's ready. You check on it? Ice belt. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
No party going on at night or no?
No, there isn't. Not right now. Yes. So hold on, let me get to a brainwave. I'm gonna leave one and then I'll be ready. It's funny. It's like I can't even walk. Hey,
Yes.
would you go ahead and get that hamburger ready?
You need to get what ready?
Huh?
You need to get what ready?
Hamburger.
You made hammer patties? Okay.
You gonna make them or they're already made?
No, I can make them.
No, something that's already made.
No, I have leftovers if you want that.
Rather.
I thought he doesn't have brisket. Just tell me, baby. I'm gonna go to dinner.
It's okay.
The hammer patties are making a wish.
It's funny because the heat of the thing it'd take a lot of effort to chew. I don't think I have the strength right now. That's why I'm laughing.
I think I have soup.
Whatever.
We'll make you some patties, but I'll make them too big. But we won't. They won't be too heavy for you.
Still going? You said just a little bit. You said, I remember you were done.